Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said.
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January.
Oh, that's y'all Meek Mills, y'all Puffies, y'all Lil Boozy, none of these names, none of these people that have to listen to y'all because they have legal, I never nobody.
I wouldn't say things that I knew, you know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proof things that I could say that will back up my claim.
That's why I don't be going to them Puffy parties. They can hug you from the front and the back at the same time.
Celebrities responded to Diddy's arrest, and the reactions from music legends, especially Eminem, will leave you speechless.
During an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life that we now know all too much about, Puffy once evoked curiosity by avoiding details about the origin of his well-known moniker. The conversation, part of an interview for Oprah's O magazine, began casually. Oprah just inquired about the name's beginnings, and Puffy said, "It's a nickname somebody gave me." And now Oprah being Oprah, she probed a little further, and he got reserved. He said, "I've never told anyone that. I know you can get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one." He said, "No more Puff Daddy. The first week in June, we're gonna have a name change ceremony." Now that was something he announced in 2001. He said, "No, I'm gonna rock with the name that we all know him by now." He said, "My man Biggie gave me that name." Now this was all after crimes committed by Puffy that I can't talk about on here without sounding like a cartoon character, but I'm sure you can find them. Also, this is kind of around the same time that folks assumed that Puff Daddy had something to do with the passing of Biggie. Make of that what you will. Now, in terms of folks who have called Oprah out for hanging out with icky people, Rose McGowan is the name you're going to want to remember. She's called Oprah as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post. Now, this was technically over Oprah's friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name because they're that awful. She shared a photo of Oprah kissing a disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek. Nope, we can't show that photo, folks. Just work with me here. It was a photograph taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards. It's really easy to find. Now, Rose McGowan is an early Me Too activist. She's accused a lot of folks of wrongdoing, specifically this particular producer who I can't name. So she accompanied that photo with a caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't." From being pals with insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. Once again, she is as fake as they come. Hashtag lizard. Now, the victims she referred to are those of a hip-hop music mogul. Technically not the one I'm talking about today, but put two and two together and make four, folks. She was talking about one who was accused of more than a dozen cases of SA or misconduct since 2017. So not the 2024 situation. Now that guy responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, but he disputed the allegations of non-consensual interactions. So here's the thing. As allegations continue surfacing about all these infamous white parties, the freak-offs, and all the other hula-baloo, so it might be a hot minute before we get the details that we're looking for because everybody had to sign an NDA. So if we're looking at it, it's pretty boilerplate. You can't share information related to the disgraced music mogul, you can't talk about partners, family members, friends, business associates, you can't photograph, film, or record Puff Daddy or anybody around him without written consent, you can't, and it names the specific social media platforms where you can't post any photos or videos of the bad boy founder without permission. You also can't give an interview, you can't write a book, you can't discuss anything you saw or anything you were part of, and it just really covers anything that could get Puffy into trouble. Granted, the NDA does expire. I did some research and very popular news outlets, the three initial ones, they say that the signed document is valid for the length of Puff Daddy's life, plus 20 years or 70 years. Yeah, whichever is longer. Look, it's boilerplate, but it's, kind of explaining why anybody that attended these parties kind of needs his written consent to share any info, and seeing as he's currently behind bars and keeping tight lips, yeah, I know. But here's the thing, the NDA hasn't kept the authorities out of somebody's business, Even though it sounds airtight, we all know some of his deepest secrets, and that kind of was enough for the city of Miami to say, we want our key back. Now, they gave him the key in 2015, so 9 years ago, after his former media company, Revolt, held the Revolt Music Conference in the city. Now, after the footage came out of him and Cassie, poor thing, and all the allegations and the arrest, Miami was like, yeah, no. They also said no more to Puff Daddy Day. That was an annual thing on October 13th, apparently. And also, this isn't the first key to the city he's lost this year. Back in June, New York was like, absolutely not. The mayor sent a letter asking for the honorary key back, and Puff Daddy was like, okay, here you go. And that's not the only thing that's been like, yeah, no, we want our stuff back. I believe Howard University revoked the honorary degree that Puffy received in 2014. And remember when I mentioned Revolt a moment ago? Yeah, that was sold back to the employees. They were like, yep, no, here you go, take that back. He doesn't deserve it. So one person who has come forward might provide some answers as to why everybody else is staying mum. 50 Cent has had a lot to say about Puffy, about Oprah, you name it, we're gonna say it. Now, he's addressed his relationship with Puffy in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. And he was like, look, I worked in the same circles as Puffy back in the day, and he kind of explained why he never attended any parties. He said, I've been very vocal about not going to Puffy parties and doing like that. I've been staying out of that for years. It's just an uncomfortable energy connected to it. Yes, I'm self-bleeping myself, folks. It's easier for my editor. So he asked to take me shopping, 50 said. I thought that was the weirdest in the world, because that might be something that somebody says to somebody they're interested in romantically. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not effing with this weird energy or weird coming off the way he was just moving. From that, I wasn't comfortable around him. The producer and actor is actually making a documentary about the allegations. I believe Netflix bought the rights back in May, and apparently the proceeds from the docuseries is going to go towards victims of SA. Now, when folks asked, like, hey, like, why are you making this documentary? 50 Cent said, I'm the only one from hip-hop culture that's produced quality projects. We do have a lot of talent within our culture where the talent has developed a comfortability in front of the camera, so they're usually a part of it as an actor or driving force of why someone would watch the project, but not the behind-the-scenes production, producing the whole project. So there's a difference. Now, once again, folks, you gotta remember, 50 Cent worked adjacent to Puffy in the early 2000s, but he's like, nope, we were never, ever, ever friends. He said, and I quote, it was mostly work. I wouldn't call it a friendship because there wouldn't be disappointment between us if we didn't speak to each other. There's points that we worked together. Jennifer Lopez actually told him he should work with 50 Cent as a songwriter in the beginning, and I was around that early stages, and he could have done my record deal at that point, which was around the year 2000, folks, if you're looking for a timeline. Now, 50 Cent said, following me being fired up by somebody who had a weapon outside of somebody's grandmother's house, and after Trackmaster signed Puffy, 50 Cent said, I'm just getting back to work, and Puffy would call me to write. And he mentioned somebody else would answer the phone. 50 Cent didn't want to get on the phone, and he was like, no. And somebody else was like, what the heck, we need money. And 50 Cent was like, no, I don't want to talk to him. He said, I didn't want to party with him, I didn't want to hang out with him. Puffy's a business person. When people call him a producer, I see people that were taken advantage of, who produce things that he took from them. He got the credit, but he's not a producer. He's been able to take advantage of the business and the creatives in it. I don't have any interest in doing that. I actually fall under the creative, so I just didn't take to hanging out with that. Now, 50 Cent got asked, hey, why isn't everybody else speaking up like you are? He said, well, some of them were involved at the parties and enjoy themselves, so they don't know what the F is on tape or what's not on tape, so they're not gonna say anything because they might have had too much fun. And then you've got other people who look and go, well, that's not my business and I don't wanna be it. And then you've got a part of culture that says, that's snitching. And it's not uncomfortable for 50 Cent to say what they said because they've been saying it for however many years. I've been telling you, I don't mess with them, I don't like the way you're moving, this is crazy. Everybody else is not going to be as comfortable as I am saying it. And that's all, folks, see you next time.